don't.
Or you just...
Sure, Kevin.
I'm sorry.
That's not the intro I wanted, but I'll take it. Hello, Mags. Trying to get some green tea going in here. Get my tissues, everybody. Come on in, everyone. It is History with Shannon night. Hey, Peachy. What you doing? Oh, come on. My little tea bag is not. Vicky, watcher. Hello, guys. I'm just nibbling. I'm just playing with my little green tea bag here. When am I going to put it in? I'll put it in. I'm shocked I didn't spill. Oh, fuck. Water all over myself. Coming down the steps. I think that's as good as we're going to get it, guys. Is everybody good? State of disorder. We're going to talk about some crazy-ass royal people. I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to take us from... I'm taking this from... honey, I get it. I get it. I get it. Only place I'll go is to You and Ghost. I go to Steve Billings. Oh, I go over to my friend Flava and them's. That's a whole nother side of YouTube. Hey, Honeybee. Hey, Beyond. Nana Kim. So I'm going to take you. We're going to discuss Queen Victoria for a little bit because she was a bitch. Hey, Peggy. She was insane. Like her uncle, who we will give an honorable mention to later on in the series. So we're going to go through a little bit of Victoria. We're going to go slide right into Albert / Edward. We're going to fix all that. We'll know what that is. And then his son, George. And that's where we're going to stop tonight. George is actually the one that renamed the House of Saxe-Coburg Gotha to the House of Windsor. Now, when we get into the House of Windsor, that's when I'll discuss that little asshole, Edward VIII, who turned out to not be man enough to be the king, and so they had to make him the Duke of Windsor. Let me tell you, Peggy, I know a little bit about, I ain't gonna lie. This is my jam right here. I love it. And Queen Victoria, they said, she was just a girl. And there's a lot of similarities, too, we're going to talk about. Like, Victoria was the longest reigning queen before Queen Elizabeth. Her reign was 63 years, 216 days. Wait a minute. Her son was the Prince of Wales, literally for 59 years. Oh, I read that book, Vicky. I got that book up there, Traitor King. Oh, yeah. So when she died in 1901, her son had been, he was 59 years old. Now let's switch over. Let's go to Elizabeth, who reigned for 70 years. Charles was 73 when he became king. So they Edward, the son, Victoria's son, his reign was about 10 years. He died. Charles, I don't know if he's going to make it 10 years. That's all I'm saying. And, y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know. The women that Edward the Seventh, Edward VII, Victoria's son, had a bunch of affairs. And one of the women that he had an affair with, Camilla Parker Bowles' great-grandmother. I shit you not. I shit you not. And I think that there was another king further back who also had an affair with one of Camilla's ancestors. So they just grow hoes over there. They just grow hoes. But I mean, she did hold out. I'll never forget the day that she was they did the coronation, and there was a picture of her with that crown on, and she was like, what did she say? What was it? Something about side pieces. I don't remember now. Funny as shit. It's funny as shit. She was a side piece, Camilla, queen. All right, now I don't want to burn myself live. So let's just let that sit there for a second. Did y'all see Melody Buzzard's mother in court today? Remember me saying yesterday, if y'all were here, we don't know what was under that wig. I'm going to show you what's under that wig. Y'all want to see it? Let's look. We're going to see. Hey, Susan. I'm going to show y'all what's under that wig. Let me pull it up. Y'all are going to be like, what in the fresh fucking hell is this? Well, I don't even have to do that. Duh, just go over here. Let me see. Let me pull it up. Let me put my post, because I am going to be the next Nancy Grace, but I'm going to be nice. Probably not going to be nice, so that's a lie. I'm going to show you what Ashley Buzzard, and they let her out today with a GPS ankle monitor. Okay, let me come over here and I will share the screen. If y'all ain't seen this, hold on, because you ain't going to like it. What y'all gonna be like, what? All right. So this is her, right? This is what we saw. This was her. You see, she's got the little makeup on. She's lost about 700 pounds. If the bitch is on Ozempic and this crazy, fuck you, all of you, because that's not fair. So here she is. This is what we saw, right? Are y'all ready for court? Are y'all ready? You're not ready. There she go. That's the real her. Let me make it bigger. So we are, how do I make it? Why am I not making it bigger? Ah, shit, Shannon, come on. Well, anyway, that's her before. This is her. And this is why I said, if you saw that, you would in no way, shape, or form recognize them as the same people. Oh, I can make it bigger here. Duh. At least a little bit bigger. I mean, I took it off my thing. So this is, I'm acting like I can move it. That's her, the real her. And this is the other her. Now, never, ever would I have put those two images together and say, oh, yeah. So this makes me wonder, what's under Melody's wig? There is no way in hell that hair is there. I'm sorry. There is no way she has cut that damn kid's hair. I guarantee it. If that's what she did to her damn self, come on, guys. I was shocked. I was effing shocked. Look at this. Look at that. Nope. Nope. And nope. We're not doing that. So that is some of my news. Damn is right. Hey, Rand. Damn is right. That throws the effery. I think we're supposed to stop cussing on YouTube. That's going to be a shit show. Oops. It is. That's a there's this theory, and basically the theory is If you hear hooves, think horses, not zebras. I mean, I've just said it. Go to the don't go out to the outermost possibility. It's usually it's usually very simple, whatever it is, the crime, whatever. But in this case, honey, we got zebras. We got a whole shitload of zebras here. So that I again pray for that little girl, pray for that mama, pray for that family. But I'm got a feeling that our girl's not here anymore. Now, hey, Lotto, I hope that is not the case. But if you look at those pictures, you got to wonder what's under that kid's. Yeah, she had a wig and the hoodie. No, I'd never put those two together ever in the world. And then she's switching plates and shit. No, if I burn myself with this, I'm ending the stream. Let me see. Oh, that's cool. That's not bad. That's not bad. I gotta get my green tea on. Y'all want to talk about some crazy ass royals? If you don't, no, we haven't done anything about them. We're good. We're just bullshitting right now. So it's time for. Oh, I should have a little bit. You know what? I almost wore my tiara, my crown. My crown is upstairs, and I almost wore it for this. I might wear it next time. We don't know. So we're going to talk about the House of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. Hey, have pint, which was, Albert, Prince Albert, Victoria's husband, was German. They were also first cousins. Look, there's a lot of first cousins getting married here. I do not know why the current royal family doesn't have 1 eye, 6 ears, and 3 toes. I don't understand it. Victoria and Prince Albert were first cousins. They got married when they were 19 years old. They were head over heels, right? Head over heels. Oh, the love, the love. Let me, I'm going to start this off because everybody, we got places to go. The house, here we go. So this is them and their 9 children. Okay, 9 children. Queen Victoria wrote, and because royals, usually queens, monarchs, they keep a diary. Queen Victoria kept a rather detailed diary about her and Albert's sex life and what she liked, and that she really liked the act of making babies, but really didn't like babies at all. She didn't like pushing them out. Her words, not mine. And she thought they looked like frogs when they were born. And she really didn't care for many of her children. She liked her oldest daughter, Vicky. Their oldest child was Victoria, obviously. And she liked her. But once, okay, let's do this too. There's a lot of Alberts in this story, okay? A lot of Alberts. So many Alberts. Birdies. There's birdies. They call it, it was a birdie. It's going to be hard, but we're going to get through it. We're going to get through it, people. We're going to get through it. It's going to be okay. So I'm just going to shoot to when Prince Albert died. Okay. This is going to explain to you why Victoria hated her son. She hated it. I'm going to read you some things that she wrote about him. She also wrote some pretty shitty stuff about her youngest son, who was very sickly, and he fits. He ended up having, what did he have? Come on, y'all know what it is. Come on. You'll get it. Anyway, she hated him. She wrote some shit about him too. So at the time, I've loaded some pictures here for us. Okay, so here's them and all their 9 children. hemophilia. There you go. I think he's the only one that had it of her children. Now she had the gene, and with Albert being her first cousin, he had it too. So how the rest of them? Well, it's not, women don't have it. Well, they carry it, but they don't have it. How any of these how they didn't all have it, I don't know. I mean, I know it's shown up, but so this is them and their 9 children. Albert died on, let me see. That's it. Married the first cousins. They were in love. She had put him on a pedestal. Their love story became one of the best ever. Whatever. So when Albert died at 42, because she was also 42, their oldest child was 21. That's Vicky. Their youngest child was 4, and that was Leopold. So they had 9 in there. And let's go through them. So we have Vicky as let's do this. We have Leopold as the youngest. The next one is Alice. Nope, sorry. Leopold's 8. Arthur is 11. Louise is 13. Helena is 15. Alfie is 17. Alice, not Alfie. Alice is 18, and Bertie was 20. He became the Prince of Wales. She made him the Prince of Wales. He's about like a week old. So she was basically left with 9 children to raise as a single mother. Now you're thinking, well, she's a queen. She had help. She did. Bridget, we're having history class. Crazy royal people. Yeah, she didn't like being pregnant. She didn't like doing it. Yeah, she was, man, she was a train wreck. So she didn't have any maternal instincts. Sorry for everybody, but she did not have any maternal instincts whatsoever. She didn't like the children. Even when they were small, she didn't like them. When Albert died, and she realized that now she had to raise these kids, she became extremely controlling. When we go through this part, we're going to do Bertie, who turned into, we'll get there. Queen Victoria was still alive up until 1901. All right, so we got to deal with her for a very long time. And she became very controlling over these children. She blamed Bertie for the death of her husband, his father, because he found out that while Bertie, God, I'm just going to call him Edward, okay? That'll just make things easier. Yeah, the last one, she had chloroform and she loved it. So I'm just going to call him Edward. He's the Prince of Wales. Albert had found out that Albert had found out that Edward had an affair with an actress while he was at Cambridge. This incensed Prince Albert to the point where he took off to Cambridge to have a talk with his son. His thing was premarital sex. No, you can't do it. You're a future, you're the future king. You can't do this. They took a walk around Cambridge. A downpour came, okay? And he left Cambridge and he came back to London. When he got back to London, he was soaked all the way through, right? 19 days later, he died. 19 days later, he died. Now, people say that he died of typhoid. I don't know. Albert was always, this is Prince Albert, was always, if you look back through, he was a sickly child. He had almost like, they think he had Crohn's disease. So in his last days, there was a mess. And I'll say no more than that. He would fall asleep. Glassy responses with Amber. the first night that he came to meet Victoria in London, he fell asleep at the dining room table. I don't know if he was narcoleptic as well, but I mean, Albert was not a very well child. And I mean, I guess 9 kids, I guess he got over it. I was no more than that. So Victoria always blamed Edward for her husband dying. Always blamed him. Till the day she died, she hated him. Hated him. She went into deep mourning. As we all know, it lasted forever. When she had to finally start doing something, right, being the queen, she did not get Edward in there and say, Edward, look, you're going to be king. I need you to come in here and fill in. Let me show you what we're doing here. And I need you to fill in with, keep the ministers all, caught up, keep me caught up. No. She got her third daughter. Alice, to do that. Not the Prince of Wales, who was going to be king. No, the third daughter, who was 18. Alice had to do this. Alice took care of her father in the last weeks of his life. It won't pretty. Now her mother's in mourning. Now she's got to turn around and go and handle queen stuff. So they think that she was actually like anorexic. She was under so much pressure. And by this time, the oldest daughter, Vicky, had escaped. And that's the word that they used, escaped. She had gotten married. She had a couple of kids. She wasn't under Victoria's thumb at that, then. Alice, bless her heart, finally escaped, and when she got married. But Victoria wanted to she named their children. She named her grandchildren, and they had best done it. But let me tell you what she said about her son. She said, so she blamed Bertie, but I'm going to call him Edward. This is what she said in her journal. I just cannot bear to be in the same room with this boy. I cannot bear to look at him. That was some of the nice things she said. Overwhelmed with the grief. Let's read some of her other lovely things. Man, she said of her son that he was want of chin, which means he didn't have a chin. All right. Edward looked just like his mother. So let's look at this. Do you notice what Queen Victoria does not have? He squints. She said her son, Edward, was want of chin. Ma'am, you don't have one. And then she made a comment about his bulbous eyes. Ma'am, you might want to look in the mirror. There they are. That's the same person. She thought he was ugly. No chin, bulbous eyes. Meet your son. There you are. Just saying. So she would say this. She would, bless her heart, a want of chin. He had pale, bulbous eyes that she found unattractive. They were her eyes. I mean, there we go. There were elements of violence towards her children. Albert wasn't bright. I'm sorry, we'll have to call him Edward. Edward wasn't bright. The Prince of Wales wasn't bright. He didn't catch on to things. Now, you have to know, if you watch The Crown or if you know anything about the royal family, is the monarch, right, the king or the queen, has got to know the Constitution backwards and forwards. That is, I mean, kind of like our president, but the sovereign has got to know it backwards and forwards. And you train for that. And when you do, you go to Cambridge, you're not getting Johnny from the corner to get the tutor. That's not going to happen. You will become the head of the Church of England. Thank you, Henry VIII. We'll get into that later. So if you have watched the Queen, the Crown, there's a point where the younger Elizabeth said that above her is only God. So she is the head of the church. I think this is why Edward Prince Albert kind of flipped his shit. Because here we're going to have the head of the Church of England, future, and he's running around with actresses. But actresses, I have learned, were the first, I hate to say this, but a lot of these boys, their first experience was either with a prostitute or an actress. So he was forced to study 6 hours a day, 6 days a week. If he got something wrong, he was hit. He was beaten. All right. It wasn't a no. He was beaten. Not by them, by the tutor. This is what they let the tutor do. So the tutor finally wrote to his parents, and this is what he said. The Prince of Wales has been like a person half silly. I could not gain his attention. He was rude, particularly in the afternoon, throwing stones at my face. He made faces and spat. There was a great deal of bad words. So what we think, Edward probably had ADD or ADHD, which made it impossible for him to sit there 6 hours a day getting drilled in these constitutional things. And he probably had ADD, ADHD. And so this kid from 20 years old, they knew their mom didn't like him. Please know that. Albert, her husband, even wrote her one time and said, you got to lay off these kids. You're yelling at them. You're smacking them. He was a very different person from her. And he was like, you got to stop. She didn't, but anyway. So he was once put in this is Edward, was once put in solitary confinement as a child for 3 days for teaching his younger brother how to smoke. So, yeah. After his father died, again, here we go again. She's in her journal. Oh, that boy, much as I pity, I never can or shall look at him without a shudder. This is her own child. Here's some more of her. This is her talking about her younger son, Leopold. Do I have Leopold here? I should. Oh, that's them when they got married. Oh, look. Leopold. Let's talk about Leopold. This is the one that couldn't walk, had hemophilia, didn't know it. He was very sickly. And she said this about the youngest, four. Okay, hey, mama. Mama. Sorry. Leopold is the ugliest and least pleasing of the whole family. He walks shockingly, and his manners are despairing, as well as his speech, which is quite dreadful. Now, at one point, she was planning to have Leopold beaten by a nanny. When I say beaten, I say beaten. Her mother stepped in and begged her not to beat this child, right? And here's what she said. Basically, she said, well, let me tell you something, Mom. Once you have 8 kids, because she was an only child, once you have 8 kids, you get used to having them beaten and hear them cry. You have 8 kids, you just beat them, and then you just, you tone the crying out, which this was Victoria. This was Queen Victoria. Having a little boy beaten because he couldn't walk right, because he couldn't speak clearly. He pierced, like he was licking a pen. Back then it was a steel tip, and he licked it, and he nicked it in the roof of his mouth and nearly bled to death as a child. Victoria couldn't be bothered. Whatever. Whatever. So she never liked him either, but we'll find out. All right. Now, mind you, Queen Victoria is still queen through all of this, okay? All of this. So, all right, during his mother's widowhood, Edward, right? Little Victoria there wouldn't discuss matters with him through his whole life, wouldn't bring him in, show him what to do, show him any papers, anything. She didn't want anything to do with him. She picked his wife, which is we just saw. She picked his wife. That's Alexandra right there. Hey, AK Mr. A. She picked the wife. I mean, I guess it was a good one. And she just didn't want anything to do with him, but she wanted to control it. So through the years, he didn't know how to run anything. If she'd have dropped dead, at any point, he wouldn't have known what to do. She did not let him in to do that. So, no active role. Finally, some of her ministers went to him and said, "Hey, Albert, Edward, come here," and explained the paperwork to him and explained the box, because back then it was still a box. They still get a box to this day. The box. They showed him the box and said, "Here's your papers. Here's what we do." She never did it, but the ministers finally said, "If she fucking dies, we're in trouble right now." Queen Mother at least uttered, yeah. The thing is with these, okay, so this is what I've never gotten about a family, a royal family. And back then it was only like a queen only came around when there was no boy around, okay? Queen Victoria's uncle had no children that lived. Her uncle had about 10 kids with an actress. 10 kids, they lived together for 20 years. But of course, none of them were legitimate. So they didn't get the throne. And then he did get married. They never had any children. His brothers never had any children. I mean, so when you have these, an heir and a spare. I don't know if y'all read that book by Prince Harry. It's over there. It's a very good book. You would think that the heir and the spare would be educated the same way, because what if something happened? No. That didn't happen. You had Edward here getting what education that he could. He was, again, ADD. He wasn't very bright. A lot of these guys aren't very bright. We'll listen to what their tutors say. Not the smartest one. But so when he did marry Miss Alexandra right there, again, they had lavish lifestyles. They were the Prince and Princess of Wales. They had very extravagant lifestyles, which bothered Queen Victoria to no end. She would, try to stomp them out and say, "No, you're not going to have any more parties. No, we're not going to live like this." And they did. Whatever. What are you going to do? They didn't care. I was at this. The Prime Minister, William Gladstone, would secretly send from 1886. Okay. She died in 1901. So the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister started secretly sending Edward papers in 1886 so he would know what to do. And there we have that. Let's go forward. Here are some of his affairs. Are we ready? I'm going to show you some of his affairs. He had about 50, okay? And look, he was very svelte as a young man. We're going to find out. He was a glutton. Yes, well, girl, I love this shit. I love it. When we get up to what we're going to get up to, there's going to be some names you don't know, you've never heard of before, who were going to be king and didn't. But this glutton is bashed and ate and drank everything. Here is their wedding photo. Do you see anything weird about this wedding photo? Oh, I don't know. Could it be his mom right there in the middle, looking up at a bust of her dead husband? Isn't that a beautiful photograph? On their wedding, instead of coming down the aisle, right, she set up in her like a little box in the cathedral, and everybody kept trying to look up at her because nobody'd seen her ass in years. But isn't this a sweet picture? You see how the bride is getting pushed further and further out of the way? We're not done. We got another one. This bitch is barely hanging on in this photo. Here we go. She done piled every goddamn body up in there. Come on, everybody. And there's the bride getting pushed out of the way. But in the middle of the photograph is a bust of Prince Albert, her dead husband. Edward's over to the side. I think it was like Vicky's husband there and some grandchildren. But this is their wedding. This is their wedding photos. And she wouldn't move. And the bus is right there in the middle. I don't know if it was to remind Edward that he killed his dad, so she thought, till the day she died, or if, I don't know why she did this. But this one right here, this one back here kills me. Her right there in the damn middle. In the middle. With Albert over here to the side looking a fool with that damn, oh, come on, Vicky. What is that fucking wrong with you? So we're seeing them getting bigger and bigger. Right? Your first thing you see is the bus. When I say she was controlling, this is the little shit that I'm talking about. Hey, baby, let's go back. I'm telling you right now. One, her ass in the middle of her son and his bride, looking at the bust of the dead husband / daddy. Then she done brought other. I can hear her now. Can we slide the bust of Albert in the middle? Bride, you can scoot over. We don't really need you for this. Can we get some of the grandchildren? Vicky, you want to get in here? Bride, you can seriously. We don't need you right now. You want to come on in for the picture, everybody? Let's put there your daddy in the middle. Everybody look. Oh, no. That's what I would have said. All right, so he's getting fatter now. I ain't saying nothing about being, I'm fat too. So, but I don't get as fat as this little bitch. So let's go through some of his. All right, this is Sandra Bernhard. She was a very famous actress. Very famous. Remember, we didn't have movies back then. We had plays. And she was a star in America and, the UK, everywhere. She was a star. She was very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Yeah. Then we start going down. This is Lady Randolph Churchill. She is Winston Churchill's mother. And they had a pretty. Can you look at them corsets right there? I just think about all the fat girls back then who there wasn't enough whalebone on earth to hold the figure in, but you still had to get laced up and have literal whalebone cinching you up. Look at that waist. But that is Winston Churchill's mother. I'm going to show you Alice Capel. This is Camilla Parker Bowles' great-grandmother. Yes, that's right. There are more than one whores that have, in that family, that have screwed royalty. Way to go. Let's clap. So Charles and Edward had a whole lot in common. One, their moms just wouldn't die. Sorry. They just wouldn't. I would assume that Elizabeth prepared Charles for, his role. I know that we know that Victoria did not. Edward was 59 years old when he became king. Charles was 73. So they had, both of their mothers were the longest, 1 and 2. So yeah, and they also like the women over there on the Camilla side of things. I look at her; she looks like a bulldog. I don't know what she looked like her damn. You know what? Yeah, I can see the resemblance. She looked like a damn bulldog he married. We're still in the house of Saxe Coburg Gotha, by the way. So let's see. She ended up dying finally. I shouldn't say that. Finally, Queen Victoria died. Drawed it out. I mean, Jesus for hell. Like I said, the fair with the 50, she named all of his children, told them how they were gonna live. But when he did become king, it was a breath of fresh air because the people of let me tell you their territories. There was a phrase that was the sun never set on the British Empire, and that was true because they had Canada, they had the UK, they had India, they had Australia. The sun literally never set on the British Empire. It was a lot. They hadn't seen their queen in years, okay? And if they did see her, it was a wisp of someone in black going down. So when he became king and his wife was pretty popular, people were just glad. Who the fuck is that? Who the hell is that? I don't know who that is. No, that might be. Sorry, that's Camilla's grandmother. Hey, Sandy, that is her grandmother. So she is very much more beautiful than that bulldog, her great granddaughter. I'm just saying. So they named the children. All right. So now we're going to do this because now we have to talk about Edward's children. Mind you, we have to pretend like Victoria is still alive because obviously he had these children while she was alive because she wouldn't die. So we have Prince Albert Victor. There's a lot of Alberts. I told y'all that. Then we have George V. That's the name that he took when he became king. So I'm just going to use it from now on because it's just easier. Then they had Louise. Thank you, SDA, for that. I appreciate that. We had Louise. We had Maud. All right. So when we're going to start with Albert Victor. Albert Victor was the first eldest son of Edward and Alexandra. He was the heir presumptive. Let's go through that. So when you're a child, you're an heir presumptive, which means don't really know yet. Something could happen. Then when you get a little bit older, you're the heir apparent. And that is when you are trained to be the heir of the thing. So Albert Victor, the first child, was the heir presumptive. And then he had a younger brother that was George. And I'm not going to worry with the rest of the kids. I'm just going to worry with these two. Okay. Now, Albert Victor, again, wasn't a very smart one either. But because him and his brother were so close in age, Edward and his wife decided we're just gonna, let's educate them together, so they get the same education, and they did, very well. George was a little bit smarter than Edward. I mean, than Albert Victor, but and in the again we have these notes. We have these notes from the tutors that basically said that, look, you've got to keep Albert Victor and George together because that's the only way Albert Victor's going to learn. He thrives off of his brother's energy. You've got to keep them together. At this point, he's not going to learn anything. He doesn't even know the words that I'm saying, to him. So they kept them together. And you're not going to believe this. Albert Victor's first affair, he lost his virginity to an actress. That's right. That's right, people. That's right. Let's take a look at him because, all right, these are all their children. So you have Fatty up here. That's Edward. And then you have Albert Victor over here on the left. And there's George right down there in the middle. So they were the only two sons. But this was his family, okay? Oh yeah, I meant to say this. So King Edward had a bit of a flair for the fashion, much like Edward VIII, who would turn out to be the Duke of Windsor. He was a big fashion guy too. So like this little shirt, this little jacket, a Homburg hat became tweed. He brought all that in. Hey, PDX. So yeah, he did have some. And there we go. He's fatter than hell. There's a photograph of him on a horse. And I just thought about that picture. I wish I could probably go find it. It is him sitting on a horse. And the horse is looking at the camera like, oh my God, please help me. Please help me. This fat fuck is going to break me in half. I mean, I have to find that picture. It's the saddest horse I've ever seen. Hey, flies. It really is the saddest horse I've ever seen. Let me look. Hold on. Now I got to show you. Let's see. Edward. Let me look. Hold on. Y'all just talk amongst yourselves. Edward the 7th on a horse. I mean, you can't get any, right? I mean, that's got to be easy to find. Images. No, not the statue. I want the real horse that was like, help me. Oh my God, help me. This fat bastard will not get off me. Oh, a lot of his statues, he's on a horse. Let me try to find this for you. Sorry. I can't find the one of him sitting sideways, but here's one that's just as good. Just as good. This fucking horse. Let me make it big and let me come over here. Hold on. I'm sorry. This horse is like, you better get this fat fuck off me right now. All right, here we go. Is this it? Well, this. All right. I should laugh. Look at that horse is like shit. And that it's not a tall horse. It's not like, I mean, I don't even have any hands that thing is. It's not a lot. I mean, he's not a tall horse. It's not an Arabian. It's just a regular horse. And this fat bastard is on it. And that horse is begging for everything. Please help me, Jesus, get this fat fuck off me. I don't think they did. But let me introduce the sides one more time. I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh about that. But I mean, it's funny to me. I'm sorry. So there's Fatty again. So let's talk about Albert Victor. And there's Albert and George together. Albert Victor. Once they all got, I think him and his brother went like for 3 years around the world because George wanted to be, all he wanted to do was be in the Navy. Albert Victor couldn't be in the Navy because he was the heir. And he kind of had to stay back, right? Couldn't get in the middle of stuff. But they did. There was a scandal in in this time. And it was called the Cleveland Street Scandal. And what they had basically found was a male brothel. And the rent boys, they still call them rent boys. It's boys that would do whatever to pay their rent. When the police interrogated the rent boys, they implicated a lot of upper class gentlemen who were their customers. Now, I don't know if Albert Victor was named, but what I do know, I hope you feel better, flies, sweepy. What I do know is his father stepped in real quick, and that investigation got dropped big time. So what they thought, let's send the boys around the world for like 3 years so we can get, I guess it worked. I don't know. Now, there's also a rumor that Albert Victor was Jack the Ripper. That is a theory, and the theory being that he had caught syphilis from a prostitute, and if you have, Al Capone died of syphilis. Basically, he got in his brain and he was batty, and they thought that he had. The theory is that he had gotten the syphilis had gotten in his brain, and he started going crazy, and he just wanted to kill prostitutes. It's a great theory, but obviously never proven. And Albert Victor didn't really have any skills. Like, they're pretty sure that Jack the Ripper was either a butcher or a doctor. That's the same thing with the Black Dahlia. Remember when we did the torso murders of Cleveland? Same thing, butcher or doctor. Butcher or a doctor. And Albert Victor was neither. So, that's just something that goes around. Now, we're going to repeat ourselves again here in a second. So he fell in love. Albert Victor fell in love. And it was with his cousin Alex, Alix. And let's go. Let me go this way. Yeah. He fell in love with Alex. Okay. Alex turned him down. Said, I don't want to marry you. I'm going to marry a Russian czar named Nicholas. That's who I want to marry. Well, that didn't turn out well for her because if you will remember, they got murdered. The wife, the husband, all the children, they were murdered in the Russian Revolution. He then fell in love with another, and I think this was a cousin too, but I could be wrong. And they were really in love. But she was Catholic, and that couldn't happen. Oh, yeah, no. Sandy, honey. Queen Victoria and Prince Albert were first cousins. This ain't nothing new. I said it, I don't know if you were here, but I said, I don't know why the British family right now, royal family, doesn't have, one eye, 3 ears, and 6 toes. I don't know why. They sure did like cousins, though. Oh, they really, really did. They fell in love with another cousin. And she fell in love with him. She was French. But she was Catholic. And Queen Victoria, who again is still alive. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Remember, Queen Victoria is still alive. Okay. She's still calling the shots. So the couple go to her and say, please, oh my God, we love each other so much. Please, 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 let us get married. And she is her name was Helene, and she's going to convert to the Church of England. Okay, that was one of them. That was her right there. Not a stunner. So Victoria ended up changing her mind, but the girl's father did not. So they did not get married. Now, Queen Victoria picked out a really nice royal for him to marry. Here she is, Princess Mary of Teck. You probably heard that, and you'll know why. So they met, they fell in love. He asked her to marry him. She said, of course. And about 6 weeks later, he died. He asked her to marry him. I think it was on the 6th of December in 1891. And he was dead by January 1892. He had died of the pandemic. It was the Asiatic flu. He caught a cold, and then it was pneumonia, and then he died. He was surrounded by the princess here, his brother George, and the family. So in their mourning, they were both grieving Victor Albert, and they became very close. They're very, very close. And Queen Victoria said, because now George was going to be king. Albert Victor's dead. Hey, Tart and Tilly. Queen Victoria said, I still really like her as a queen. I think she'll make a good queen. I think baby Edward, you should probably, maybe she's the one for you too. And he asked her to marry him. She said yes. And in 1893, they got married. Now, here's what I'll tell you about this. They were truly in love. This wasn't a arranged marriage. I mean, it started out as an arranged marriage, but they were really in love. I think it was probably that year or two they got to know each other, during the grieving process. He never had an affair on her. He wrote her every single day. If he wasn't with her, he wrote her notes. And they had a happy marriage. Again, let's say Queen Victoria is still alive. So we've got her son married, her grandson married. Okay, she's still alive. I know that hairdo, right? That hair. But we're getting very close. We're getting very close to I know this is gonna be like short an hour. I promise you that. So they had some children. Again, the Queen Alexandra, Princess Alexandra, his mother, Edward's wife, Victor's mother, never really got over the death of her son. And she kind of kept his room at Sanger where he died, like almost a shrine. She didn't want it changed. So these parents, even though, Edward's parents, Victoria and Albert, were strict. Victoria more so than Prince Albert. And the children feared their parents. And so when Edward became a parent, he kind of went to that, I need my children to fear me. He got fear and respect mixed up because he was so terrified of his own parents. I guess he just decided that's what he was going to do. I don't think they were as bad, but George, the husband, the son that just married her, horrible. Absolutely horrible. So this is Mary Tuck, Princess Mary Tuck, and that is Prince Albert Victor, and that's their little engagement. Here we have Victor over here, George over. I mean, George was a handsome guy. I mean, I'm not. All right, so this is where Victor Albert is buried. Now, I brought this up because also buried here is Prince Leopold, Victoria's son, the youngest son. He died at 30 of a cerebral hemorrhage from a fall. He is buried here. Victor Albert is buried here. Prince Philip was buried here until Elizabeth died, and then he was moved over to Windsor. Then when I say buried, I'm not talking about buried under the ground. And when Queen Elizabeth died, they kind of showed them. You just kind of get lowered, all right? And there's shelves. I mean, it sounds horrible, but it's true. There's shelves. And you sit on your shelf and you wait. Prince Albert Victor would wait for nothing. He's probably still there. Philip was there just to wait till Elizabeth died so he could go, entombed. But they used the word buried, which I'm like, don't say that. But then I had to say it because if I didn't say it, you know how that goes. So they're not buried. They're just entombed down there, just waiting. Just waiting. So when Victoria finally kicked the bucket, Jesus Christ, she doesn't know when to leave a party. Edward became the king. Edward was king for about 10 years. 1910, he's gone. He's done. Now we have got King George V. This is where the fuckery starts. This is where the fuckery starts. Here is George and Mary, Princess Mary. That's their wedding photo. Look at that snatched waist. Here he is. I mean, he was very handsome. It's shelves though. It's entombed, but they're just kind of like in shelves, and they'll just move them. Like, Philip hung out for a couple of years, and then when Elizabeth died, they moved him over with her to Windsor. All right, so here, after he's become king, in 1910, here is their coronation. Look at that. Isn't that beauty? Here are the children. And this is where we start having problems. And that's where I'm going to stop. We've got Edward. They called him David. He's the oldest. We have another Bertie, another Albert. You might know him as Queen Elizabeth's father. We've got Louise here. We have got, I forgot the one kid. And then the youngest boy right here is Prince John. Prince John, we'll talk about next time. But you didn't see Prince John much after this. Prince John had epilepsy. And it started when he was about 4. And it was bad. And it just got worse. It got worse and it got worse the older he got. They hoped that it wouldn't. So he had to be removed. He no longer was in family photos. There were no longer portraits on his birthday. There were no more. He was out of the public's eye after about 11. But very, very scarcely. And he was taken. We'll talk about it next time. Where he was taken. But George V, their father, also wanted these children scared to death of him. And they were, except for John. There's a really funny story. I think it was President Woodrow. Theodore Roosevelt, I think. It might have been Woodrow Wilson, though. I could be wrong. Came to visit. And King George remarked on how obedient his children were. And then he said, except Prince John. And he said, watch this. And he went, John, don't touch that. Don't touch that bowl. John went right over and touched it. And that made the king laugh. So, I mean, he was the other kids would have been, God knows what. But John just made him laugh. He said, John, whatever you do, don't touch that. And John just went right to it. So, they said he might have been a little bit slow. I don't know. We'll go over his life. He died at 13, so it's not a big life. And then we're going to go over David, who when he turned king, made his name Edward VIII. And then the little asshole wanted to marry another bulldog. And so he abdicated the throne. And that is why we have Queen Elizabeth, which I'm trying to think. Edward the Eighth, when his father died, his father said, 12 months within my death, he's going to do himself in. 11 months after his father died, before he could be, before the coronation, he abdicated the throne for Wallace the Bulldog Simpson. So his father was absolutely right. Within 12 months, he ruined himself. And he did. But I'm going to call him Edward now because that's what he went by. They called him David. But Edward loved older women. Edward always loved older married women. That's all he dated. We'll go over some of his girlfriends. He had one for 20 years. He called her mommy. Edward never wanted to be king. He looked for anybody out there. Anybody. Thank you for being a member for 7 months. Thank you. He loved married women. That's all he dated. There was one he dated that, but he never wanted to be king. He didn't like it. He didn't like to go and do like the debutantes. They used to be, the debutantes would go to Buckingham Palace. There would be a dance, and literally the queen and the king would bow. The girl would present herself. She would bow. They would bow. She'd walk off. By the end of the night, they were knackered, as they say over there. He hated that. He got rid of that. Edward. He got rid of that. Edward was good, though, in that he could identify with the common man. If he could get down and get with regular men, right, they loved him. They loved him. He shook hands one time so long that one hand cramped up and he had to start shaking the hand with his, shaking the men's hand with his other hand. There's no webcam filter. What are you fucking talking about? Here, hold on. Hold on. What are we filtering? What are we filtering? What are we filtering? Yeah, it's the Michael J. Fox. Yeah, it is actually. Yeah. I'm gonna get rid of you myself. I'm gonna get rid of you myself. If I don't know if I've got a mod in here, but if I don't, somebody beat the fucking hell out of him. See, we're trying to have some non-drama content that requires a little bit of brain. So I see why you're mixed up. I see why you're not getting it. I understand. I can look at your little name and your picture. I get it. You don't get it. It's okay. It's okay. So, she was an American, and Jennifer, here's the thing. Because he was going to be the head of the Church of England, he couldn't marry a divorcee it would have been okay if her husbands were dead. They weren't. She was married twice, 3 times. All 3 husbands were alive. No, twice. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 times. Like, I don't know. They were all still alive. And so, plus, she was an American divorcee. She wasn't going to give any children. There weren't going to be children. There weren't going to be little prince and princesses. And thank you. Thank you for being a member too much. She wanted to date him. She wanted to have sex with him. She wanted to be in a relationship with him. But when he said, I'm leaving I'm abdicating, she was like, no, don't do that. And he was like, I'm doing it. And she would told him, I will leave and you will never find me. And he said, I'll kill myself. I'll kill myself if you do that. She was literally stuck. This is what makes it so worth it. She had to marry him. He was not a smart man. And literally, she had to entertain him. He would wake up, wait for her to wake up. He would go out. I mean, she was stuck in this marriage that they couldn't divorce. They couldn't divorce. He had abdicated the throne. How were they going to divorce? No. He loved her very much. She did not. She did not love him. She was stuck with a perpetual puppy that looked to her to do everything. We'll talk about that. She had affairs on him. I mean, a lot of affairs. They were a source of embarrassment, much like Andrew and Bertie, if you want to talk. But another thing I wanted to bring up that was similar. So when Victor Albert died, he was engaged to Princess Mary, and then Princess Mary became engaged to his brother George, and then became queen. Guess what? So Henry VIII had an older brother, and that brother, back then it was arranged marriages between children. Hey, Genevieve. And so there had been an arranged marriage. Catherine of Aragon and King Henry VIII's older brother. The older brother died. So they said, well, we got her over here from Spain. I mean, we've got Catherine of Aragon is here already from Spain. You know, might as well. Henry, you want to marry her? I mean, she's here. And he did marry her. So that's another thing where an older brother dies and he's engaged, or they were married. They were children. They hadn't consummated the marriage yet. And then when the older brother dies, they just said, hey, you want to marry the second one? You'll still be queen. And the other woman goes, sure. I mean, why not? And that's when we go into, like, when Henry VIII met Anne Boleyn, and he wanted to get a divorce, and he tried every which way he could, saying that no, mine and Catherine's marriage is not binding because she had sex with my brother. They consummated their marriage. And she was like, no, we didn't. He was a kid. We didn't even know each other. And then he tried every which way he could. And every time he would go to the Pope, this is Henry VIII, to try to get this divorce, the Pope would go, no, not doing it. He would come up with something else. Anne Boleyn was on him like stink on an ape. You better get it. I'm not going to have sex with you anymore until you get divorced. He tried it every which way he could. And the Pope kept going, nope. You're still married to her. Catherine of Aragon fought it. She fought it tooth and nail. She would show up in court and say, So finally, that's when Henry VIII said, you know what? F you Catholic people. I'm starting my own church. It's going to be the Church of England, and I'm the head of it. And that's why now we have the Church of England, and the monarch is always the head of it, because Henry VIII got pissed off at the entire Catholic religion. I mean, my God, his daughter wiped them out all over England. But that's why we have the Church of England, is because Henry VIII couldn't get a divorce so he could marry the whore Anne Boleyn. Oops, did I say that? And then when he became the head of the Church of England, he said, okay. And that's why he could divorce them or cut their heads off. My God, he cut off Anne Boleyn's head and her cousin's head. He married her cousins, chopped hers off too. Interesting. I mean, maybe if we had more of that in the world. I'm just kidding. Yeah, overlap, right? Yeah, I mean, Henry wasn't saying. Again, he tried. Henry VIII tried for a long time, but those popes kept going, no, I think so. And that's when he said, you know what? F it. A new church, the Church of England, and I'm the head of it, and I can do anything I want. So next time, we're going to discuss King George, the Queen Mary. When I show you a good picture of her, let me tell you, Queen Elizabeth looks just like Mary of Tuck. exactly like her. Exactly like her. That was some strong genes that Mary of Tuck had. Whereas Margaret kind of looked like her dad, but my God, Queen Elizabeth looked just like Queen Mary. We'll get into that. I can't wait to get into this little asshole Edward. As y'all can probably tell, I've got some bitterness. I can't stand that little asshole. I have read so many books on that couple that every time I was started, I'm like, well, maybe this one will have something I actually like about them. Nope. I've read a book called That Woman because Queen Elizabeth's mother only ever referred to Wallis Simpson as that woman, never called her Miss Simpson, Wallis. She called her that woman. That's all. So there was a book that I read called That Woman. And then there was a book of like an actual autobiography of Miss Simpson. Yeah, yeah. Don't like her. Now I have Patrick's. I know you. I did that to you last time. I know. I'm sorry. So this concludes our history lesson: history of crazy people. Now, through the way, we're going to have some very honorable mentions because there's some crazy fuckers in this family. I don't even know. Crazy people. And we're going to discuss them as honorable mentions. But I'm telling you, I'm taking this all the way to Elizabeth children, the divorces, the choices that they made. And she just sat there and went, you want to get it? Okay. So anyway, and I'm going to go right down Andrew's throat. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, no longer a prince, and his wife, his permanent tumor, Sarah Ferguson. I don't like her. So join me next time for Shannon's History Corner. Probably next week. I don't know. It might be this week, but I don't know. That's when we'll do that. And then we're just going to. Y'all will be as upset as I am over all this. I'm just kidding. Everybody be nice. Be good. Stay warm. I'm going to go take my filter off. I'm going to do my filter. I'm going to put my filter back on. And I will talk to y'all. I'm going to get this green tea in me because I am getting something. What? This crank, I got to do something. You know, I have to keep it fresh over here. I have to keep it fresh. If I don't, I'll shrivel up and go. And again, I know it's the Alberts and Edwards and the 5th and the 8th and the 12th. I know it's so confusing because there were so many Alberts. My God, everybody was named Albert. Queen Elizabeth's father's Bertie. He's Albert. He took the name George, but his real name was Albert. They called him Bertie. They called, it's so many of them. But we're almost out of them. The Simpsons and the Spencers that closely related. The Spencers and this. See, now Wallace's family was from America, and she grew up in Baltimore, and her family was relatively. Her uncle had a lot of money. The family had a lot of money, but her father died when she was like under a year old. Wallace, I'm talking about. So if there is a connection between them and the Spencers, it would have to be so distant that, but I'm telling you that, oh Lord, that Camilla Parker Bulldog, her family has a long, 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 long history of being complete prostitutes. Oh, I'm sorry. I remember what the meme said now. It was her with the her with the crown, hold the scepter, and it says side pieces, keep the faith. Yeah, I do need a whiteboard. You're actually right. How did Wallace meet Edward? Okay, so Wallace was divorced from her first husband. She married her second husband. He did business in America and in the UK. And she had some friends. Her friend, actually, Wallace's friend from school, she went to a very good school. I mean, she had good connections. When her and her husband moved to London for his business, she reconnected with her friend. And her friend was having an affair with Edward, because the friend was married. Now, the friend, so they kept going to parties. And the Edward was very, and, he was already, anyway, he became very besieged by her. She was really ugly, but everybody that's ever met her, and I mean at dinner parties here, dinner parties there, say that she could make you feel like the only person in the room. When you had her attention, she would ask you questions, and literally you thought you were the only person in the room. That's a gift. And I think that's why her charm worked. But her friend was having an affair with Edward, and her friend had to go somewhere on vacation, whatever. She said, "Listen, Wallace, keep an eye on Eddie, okay? Keep an eye on David." His real name was David. And Wallace was like, "Okay." Well, by the time the friend came back, yeah. All of them are let me tell you. Now, see, Genevieve, we do need a whiteboard for this, because again, they're marrying cousins, and then they're marrying second cousins once removed, and then they're marrying, there's not a whole lot of outside coming in the beginning of, I mean, all the way up until, frankly, I mean, George the Fifth. I mean, that, Victor Albert wanted to marry his first cousin. His grandmother and grandfather were first cousins. So it's all twisted. It's like twisted. If you had to pull all those lines out, like the, the family lines, it's so balled up. I don't know if you ever could, honestly. I don't know how you would even. I know that there are genealogists over there that do this for a living. God help them, because I can't keep it straight. I mean, I need sock pup. Hold on, drop my watch. Sorry, guys. I got it. So we'll go from George the Fifth. I'm going to take you all the way to, I'm going to take you, I guess I'm going to have to take you to Queen Elizabeth's coronation. So we'll go from the fifth, George the Fifth, to Elizabeth's coronation, and then we'll go from there on her children, and then we should be done with it. So, a couple. Well, there was a lot of, what they would send. Let's say like Catherine of Aragon came from Spain to, to England. That was a business move. A lot of these arranged marriages back then were business moves. Oh well, we don't want to have a war with France, so why don't your little boy will marry my little girl? And then we'll be, it was a lot of arrangements for, I say business, but territory, shared interest. It was a lot. Now they let people in that aren't cousins, and I guess that's why they don't have one eye, 3 ears, and 6 toes, because they got some fresh blood in there. But damn, it was bad. I don't know how. Because, I mean, let's look at the Whitakers. So you had 2 identical twin brothers who got married, and one brother's children and the other brother's children married. So identical twins have the same DNA. So it's like they were marrying their own father or own father. And then you have, I mean, that family tree is like, there's no limbs on the Whitaker family tree. I don't understand how this didn't happen in England, but it didn't. and didn't. You had, a couple of hemophiliacs. Victoria's youngest child was a hemophiliac. She carried the gene. Oh, the Habsburgs. Do y'all want to talk about them? Because we can talk about them too. They some inbred bastards right there. When when Victoria said that her son was of want of chin, which means he didn't have a chin. Let's go over and see them Habsburgs because they had fucking chins for days. We could do this. We could do this literally nonstop if we want to go through every house. Every house of Habsburgs were so bad. So, all right, I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to drink my tea. There was a series about Mary, Queen of Scots. Yeah, that's one of Henry VIII's children, daughters against the other one. Queen Mary, his first daughter, was a complete lunatic. She was like Bloody Mary. She tried to kill everybody. She's the one, with the. She was Elizabeth. Sorry, she put the makeup on and it just ate her skin. And yeah, we can do her. We can do her. Henry VIII. That's a wreath. Sandy, I've never heard that before, but I'm going to use that. Okay, I'm gonna go. Thank y'all. I mean, this is just something different. Okay, we'll just do different things. This is what we're gonna do for now on. I'll think of something else. Don't worry. They some nasty bastards. Exactly right. Yeah. Have a good night. Have a good week. But don't see you. I don't know. Saturday night, I might just have a members only chat, and we'll just talk shit. Honestly, just I don't. I mean, that's probably what we'll do. So if you're not a member, you're fair game. Sorry. All right, I will talk to y'all later. It's okay, gravy. I've meandered my way through about 3 generations of the crazy family. Well, I don't ever admit that, Sandy. I always say, oh, I coined that. I'll see y'all later. Be nice. Stay warm because it's freezing here. And I will see y'all soon, okay? Bye, guys. Thanks again for coming.